So let's start in a seated position. And if you feel that your knees are very high, so there's a couple of different seated positions that you can do. If you cross-legged, make sure that your knees are at the height of your hips or lower. Because if we're here, we're pushing the belly in, we're rounding our spine. So we want to be able to sit with a long spine. So if that's the case, you can go higher. If your knees are hurting, one of the things that's really interesting is you make a little roll and then you place it under your ankles. And for some reason or another, the knees are much more relaxed. Of course, the knees will come higher. So prop yourself up, sit a little bit higher. If you have blocks, you can sit on a block or something. If crossing knees is not for you, you can sit onto your heels or even with a pillow or a bolster or anything behind the calf and the thighs so that your knees are not so much bent. If all this is not for you, then just sit on a chair to start. Okay, so we're just gonna arrive here. So place your, oh, I see it's popping. Someone has unmuted. I'm gonna pin myself so it doesn't happen. Shall ik heb u teruggemute, okay? So for a moment, just place your hands onto your thighs and gently press yourself up. So often when we press ourselves up, the belly is going to come forward. So we want to keep the spine neutral, meaning not creating a big curve in the lower back. It might give the impression that we're taller, but we're actually not. So pressing the sitting bones down, pushing the pubic bone, bringing the pubic bone a little bit up and the tailbone a little bit down so that your belly is not flat, like not tense, but it's not just loose and letting go. And then inhale, see if you can lift your sternum. So the breastbone up, rolling the shoulders back, shoulder blades down. Now you might feel a little bit taller. Take a breath in, and then the cervical spine, press it against your skull. So my hands are still lightly on my thighs, whichever way you seat it. Even on a chair, your hands can stay here. And let's just take a few breaths here. You can keep your eyes open or closed or half closed, doesn't matter. But stay with your breath. So see if your attention can really go through your breath. Maybe just imagining that you're following the air coming in all the way into your lungs, but also feeling the expansion of the chest, of the belly. And then as you exhale, don't collapse in your upper body, but just feel the air or imagine the air leaving your body. So let's do this 3 more times. Attention on to the breath. So I took a workshop this week, and one of the things that this Indian Catholic priest yoga teacher said, he said, it doesn't matter how much effort you make, it's the attention you bring to the effort. And I think that's very wise. So then bring the arms to the sides and lift the arms up. So very slowly as you inhale, lifting the arms up, and you will feel the sides of your body lengthening, reaching up. Now, what happens with your shoulders when you do this? Your shoulders are going towards your ears. For now, that's okay. We want to go and get the length in the side body. Are your hips lifting up? Are your sitting bones lifting up? If that's the case, as you exhale, see if you can make your sitting bones, your bum, very heavy, but keeping the length into the spine. Inhale, really lifting, feeling as if the ribs are expanding on this side, lifting up. And then turn the palms out And bring the arms down, but again, without collapsing in the upper body. Keep the left hand on the floor, reach the right arm up and expand the right side. And then as you exhale, hand comes flat on the floor, and you can really reach with your right hand towards the left, but don't lift the right bum. So we want to stay seated. You can even press with your left hand into the floor so that your hips remain well in position and that we get the maximum opening on the right side. Don't hang forward, don't hang back. Take a breath in. See what this inhale is doing to your side trunk. And then slowly coming back. We're gonna inhale again, both arms up, reaching up, same movement. So reaching up, pressing the hips down, elongating the waist, the ribs up, up, up. Breathing. So it's not that we stop breathing and we stay stiff here. So everything is dynamic in this pose. And then exhale, bring the right hand down. So the right hand is in line with the right hip, and then lengthen out to the left. So we want to create space on both sides before we can go and move to the right. Press the left hip down, reach the right arm away from you. So away from that hip, feel that opening on the side. So when we open on our sides, we also gonna have an easier time when we twist. So twisting is only possible if we have space. And then slowly coming up, bring both hands down, and then again, inhale. This time, don't bring the arms all the way up, but keep them a little bit away from each other. And then see if you can roll the shoulder back and the shoulder blades down. So when we're here, we don't have that space. So the arms, so maybe you need to explore a little bit, the arms a little bit wider, roll the shoulders back, shoulder blades down, and your chest will lift. Now turn the palms to the front, and can you feel the shoulder blades widening as well? So opening the front of the chest, opening the shoulders, opening in the back. Watch out for your neck. Make sure it's free to move because often we're going to tense too much. And then exhale, bring the arms to the front. Interlace your palms, turn the palms to the front. Interlace your fingers, I should say. Turn the palms to the front. Press your thumb together. And then press your hands away. This time we're going to gently round in the upper back. So I'm not coming forward with my trunk. I'm just going to push my hands away, push my shoulders to the front, opening my upper back. Might be very subtle for you. It might also be a big stretch for you. So it really depends on how much tension there is, but it mainly depends on how your posture is under normal circumstances. So if you're very often hunched forward, you might not feel anything because your upper back is totally stretched out. And then inhale, reach your arms up. As you do this, see, as you move up, roll the shoulders back, shoulder blades down, so that your ears are not getting tickled by your shoulders. Lengthen the elbows, reach up, reach again, the whole trunk, finding that length. And then exhale. Release. This time, bring the hands in the back. Come onto your fingertips. My fingers are pointing backwards. So you can go far, you can go close. We are going to roll the shoulders back, and this time bring the shoulder blades together and then press into your fingertips. So maybe you need to walk your hands a little bit closer. Press into your fingertips and open your chest. So my intention is to bring my chest parallel with the ceiling. So I'm opening up. If your neck is okay, just let the cervical spine follow the movement. I'm not bending in my lower spine. My lower spine stays very neutral. My belly is open and stretching. If your neck is not okay, just look forward. Take a couple of deep breaths in, mainly in the chest here. And then slowly coming back Two more things here, seated, and then we'll move the legs. So inhale, reach the arms up. So now it should almost become like a automatism that as you bring the arms up, did I say legs? Bring the arms up, that your shoulders roll back and your shoulder blades are going down. So reaching the arms up, creating that length, and exhale, turn towards the right. My left hand comes on my outer right thigh and my right hand is in the back. So if you're sitting quite high and there is space, you can put your right hand on your verhoog, on your construction here, on what you sit. Otherwise, just lean just a little bit back, but try to minimize the leaning back. And if you lean back, make sure your spine remains straight. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. So for the moment, I'm just letting my gaze follow the movement. If you want to add on, then you can look back, but that's a big stretch in the neck. So just be mindful about what you're doing. Do it with attention. Don't just do it for the stretch, the effort. Inhale, lengthen. And feel as you lengthen your spine how much more you can go. It's maybe just a millimeter, but you might just feel it. And then with your next exhale, reach your arms up and come back to center and arms to the side. Let's twist to the other side. So inhale, prepare, create a space. Exhale, turn towards the right. Right hand on the outer left thigh, left hand in the back. So ideally the left hand is as close as possible to your spine so that your spine is straight. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, rotate. One side might feel very, very different than the other. If you just had something to eat, this might not feel too comfortable. It definitely opens you for a meal, but just after a meal, twists are not always the best. So again, if you're comfortable, you can look back. And then with your next exhale, bring the arms up and release down. So now stretch out your legs, whatever way you're seated, and just move your knees a little bit. So just releasing them a little bit. We're gonna come onto hands and knees, not for very long because I wanna move our legs a little bit. So bring the hands at the front of the mat and the knees a little bit behind your hips. So it's important that you feel that your spine is neutral. So we worked already on the lengthening of the spine. We're going to continue, but keep that image of length into your mind. And then as we do the lengthening even more here, feel the difference as we're not just sitting, but we're on all fours. So come forward, come into a plank onto your knees. So press into your hands, almost as if the upper part of your spine, you want to push it to the sky. Activate your core, bring the tailbone down. Pubic bone comes slightly up so that you can activate the core and at the same time open the chest, even if you press into your hands. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, press your fingers into the floor. Push your hips back. So imagine someone is pulling you back and you're a little bit resisting, but you're not strong enough to resist. And they pull you back, they pull you back. And then at a certain moment you say, okay, pull then. So they're pulling, but you're still holding your hands onto the floor. Pull your hips back. Feel the lengthening, and you might feel stretch in your armpits, in your shoulders, in your spine. It's very different from person to person. So now my arms are just going down. My head can move in between my arms. So I want to broaden the upper back, create space in the upper back. Press your thumb and your index into the floor. Really press. And then see, by pressing the thumb and the index into the floor, can you roll the inside of your elbows towards the sky and feel what happens in your shoulders. So your shoulders are going to widen, and my upper back is going to create an opening as well. I'm still pushing my hips back. I'm not collapsing in my lower back or in my belly. I'm really pushing those hips back and holding on in the front. Now feel the lengthening of the spine as there is resistance from the hands and a pull in the hips. So long spine. Now you're going to remember this movement for when we go in downward dog. But we're not going there directly. We're first going to work a little bit for the shoulders. And then inhale, come to the front. So now we're going to just move a little bit between plank onto our knees and then pushing the hips back. So lengthening. We stayed quite a long time on both sides, so you know what we're looking for. So go to the end of the movement. So not just quickly moving between one and the other. We really want to take our time to move forward and to move back. And then slowly coming up. So I'm gonna bring my forearms on the floor. My elbows are at the same height. I'm just showing you. My elbows at the same height as my shoulders. So what I don't want to do is this, because then I'm collapsing totally in my shoulders. I'm opening my upper back, but my chest will be totally closed. So this is a shoulder opener. So keeping the hands like this and the fingers wide. So I'm lifting my sweatshirt because otherwise I'm gliding on my mat. So if you have long sleeves, maybe just lift them up for a moment. So my elbows underneath my shoulders, my forearms pointing towards the front, my fingers are separated. So always that thumb and index that presses a little bit more down. Tuck your toes, press your forearms down, and then start to lift your hips just a little bit. Keep your knees bent. And then as if you're pushing your mat away with your forearms, your hips are going to come up and your head is going to come in between your arms. So don't bend in the neck to pretend you're there. You might not reach your head completely between your upper arms. That's fine. That's the mobility we have in our shoulders now. So you don't want to hurt yourself. You want still to be able to breathe. If you want to go further, if you feel like, okay, this is boring, I need to feel something more, which is fine. You can lengthen out your legs, but don't compensate in your upper body, in your shoulders. This is a very big shoulder opener, so be mindful how you move. And then with your next exhale, let's come down on your knees, walk your hands back. Sit onto your heels or sit straight if it's not comfortable on your heels, and just shake out your arms. So quite a lot of slow work, but you're feeling it. So the next one we're gonna do is a back bend. When we do back bends, we always bend from the upper spine. Like unless you're circus artist and you started to do gymnastics when you were 2 years old, then your lower spine will be very flexible. But as I can see, we have no gymnasts in our group today. So, or young gymnasts in our group today. So let's come onto our knees. And for stability, you can tuck your toes. So just make sure that your little toe goes as well. Otherwise, it just hangs there on its own. It knows that it might be a little bit of work. So remember the long spine. So we want to keep the spine long. We are going to start from where the sacrum, where the skull and the cervical spine are touching. That's where your back bend is going to start from. Your neck is part of your spine. So we're not just going to do this. Now you have to be careful because there's a lot of things happening and passing through in the neck. So if you know you have neck issues, then you're just going to start lower. You're going to start, we all have this bony vertebra coming out. It's the last of the cervical, is a C8. So then you can start from there and keeping the neck as neutral as possible. So just observe what works best for you. Again, roll the shoulders back, elbows back. This time, place your hands, so the lowest part of the palm on the beginning of your sacrum. So the sacrum is this bony part here in the top. Your fingers are just resting on your bum. So with my shoulders back, my elbows back, I might have the tendency to push my hips forward, which I don't want to happen. So gently, with the heel of your hand, bring the tailbone a little bit lower. Your pubic bone is going to come up just a little bit, but we're not, again, going like this. We're not rounding in the lower back. We're just creating a safe space in the hips and for the lower back. So the more the tailbone stays where it is, the more neutral the lower back will be. So keeping the hips above the knees. Roll the shoulders back, elbows back, lengthening the neck. So if it's comfortable for you, don't drop your head back, but imagine one vertebrae at a time, slowly starting to go back. So between the vertebrae, we have discs. As we move back, the discs are coming forward. So as we get older, those discs are not that flexible anymore. So we want to be very mindful again of that moving. When we move too quickly back and forward, sometimes it can happen that the disc stays stuck. And then we have a hernia. Don't worry, I don't want to make you afraid. I want to make you aware that moving too quickly back and forward might have consequences as we get older, especially. So lift your chest up, same as when we were lifting the shoulders. Shoulder blades are going back, elbows are going back. This time, shoulder blades are closer to each other. So eventually, there's going to be a micro bend in the lower back. If this is not comfortable, don't go there. The main thing is lifting the chest as much perpendicular with the ceiling, pressing the hips forward, the tailbone down. Your head, you can look forward or you can have your neck start the movement. See where you are. If you stop breathing, then you went too far, so come back. If you didn't stop breathing, continue calmly breathing. This is a heart movement. And then slowly coming back. If you find it difficult to control everything, like the hips positioned in the back, this is a movement you can easily do against the wall. I'm not going to go there now, but so you bring your knees and your hips against the wall, and then you have that support, and you can really start to go back. But then you really have to be careful, as we're almost leaning into the wall, that we don't go and over compress in the lower back. So come back up, and we're going to do it one more time. So I'm going to show you if you want to go a little bit further. I'll show you the way I go in. Everybody goes in a different way. So it's where in the end, I'm holding on to my heels, but I'm still having my hips in front of, on top of my knees. So if you already feel like this is not good for my lower back, just open the chest and open with your upper spine. So same thing. I'm going to roll my shoulders back, elbows back, bring my tailbone down. And then I'm going to reach for my left foot with my left hand, reach for my right foot. So I'm leaning back now. And then I'm going to press my hips forward. I'm holding onto my feet, and maybe my neck is going to follow. So if my tailbone is too high, I'm compressing in my lower back. So big back bend, very good heart opener, as much physically as emotionally. So don't be surprised if suddenly emotions comes up. It happens from time to time. And then to come out very slowly. And we want to keep the spine neutral. We want to bring it back to neutral. So come and sit on your heels. Close your eyes, bring your hands to your thighs. You can gently tuck the chin down and just wait. You might feel your heart beating a little bit faster. It's a lot of effort. Okay, so before we go into downward dog, we're gonna do a little bit of movements for the wrists. So bring your arms to the front, roll the shoulders back. Turn the palms away from you, but keep the shoulders rolling back. See if you can bring the fingers as much as possible towards the shoulder, but without bending in the arms. And so really stretching, maybe feeling a stretch in the palm. And then do the reverse. Bring the palms down, the fingers down and the palms facing you. If this is not comfortable seated like that, bring your legs to the front. And then this time, left arm, same position, fingers up, palms away. Right hand, hold on to your fingers with the thumb or without the thumb, it doesn't matter. And then see if you can stretch out a little bit more. So don't go to pain level here. We're opening the wrist, the carpal tunnel. So you want to feel a little bit of a stretch. And then turn the fingers down. And I like to put my thumb in my wrist. And then with the other fingers, I'm pushing my hand towards my arm. And then same thing on the other side. So palm away from you, like the talk to my hand movement. Open up, letting go, relaxing the wrists. Don't go to pain. And then bring the fingers down. Thumb in the wrist, and opening up. And just check it out. Okay, so if your wrists are still hurting, always a good thing to do is with a little towel or even a little wooden wedge, that's what they use, is what we're trying to do is to minimize the bends. So you would put a little towel and then place your wrist there so that you can still spread out your fingers, but that the bend in your wrist is less. So otherwise, spread out your fingers. Bring your knees a little bit more back. Tuck the toes. So remember the length in the spine and then the rolling out of the inside of your elbow. So we're going to start with that. Thumb and index down. Roll the inside of your elbow towards the front. Feel the shoulders rolling out, the upper back rolling out. I tuck my toes and I'm just going to lift my knees a little bit, hovering. So just feeling what that does in my arms and then come back down. And then now I'm going to go up into downward dog. So press into your hands, open the shoulders, start to lift your hips up. Keep your knees bent. As if you were in dolphin, your knees are not going to go further. We're going to work on the lengthening of the spine first. So rolling the shoulders out, lifting the tailbone, bringing the belly button a little bit closer to your thighs, your head between your arms. You don't let it dangle, but if it's too much to hold, you can relax a little bit in the neck. Don't sink between your shoulders. So roll the shoulders out. My knees are still bent. I'm going to find that length in my spine. Neutral spine. So I don't want to push my belly forward. I don't want to round my lower back. So it's that neutral length in the spine. And then start to lengthen your right leg. Keep equal weight into both your arms. Keep the length into your spine. Feel that stretch in your back leg. So maybe you're stretching in the calf, maybe in the hamstrings, maybe in the little toe. Everything is possible. The intention is to touch the heel on the floor, but it's an intention, so don't worry about it. That's what we're working towards. And then bend your right knee, and this time lengthen the left. So again, don't bring all the way to the left. Equal weight into both your arms. Lengthen. And now alternate, bending one and the other. You can go with your breath or you can go with what you need. You can stay longer, shorter, whatever works for you. And then bend both knees again. Lift the hips up. Come onto your toes. Lengthen, lengthen. And then bring the heels towards the floor. If you feel that your lower back is rounding, meaning that the pubic bone and the belly button try to come too close to each other, keep your knees bent. It means that your hamstrings are a little bit too short. But we're working on it. And now lift your right leg up as high as you can. press into your hands. We're going to move out of this, don't worry. And then bend your right knee and swing your right foot between your hands. So I'm going to show you, if your right foot doesn't come all the way, bring it down where it comes, grab the ankle and then bring it forward. And then bring the left knee on the floor. If you have knee problems, you can roll the mat, you can place a towel, whatever you need to do. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release in the hips, letting go. So again, here, if we're very much curved in the lower back, it might compress the lower spine too much. So if that's the case for you, that you feel uncomfortable really in the lower back, see if you can tuck the tailbone a little bit and then very gradually go down. So now we really want to have just gravity, play, letting go. Inhale, exhale. And then inhale, reach the arms up. So if you're losing balance, keep your hands on your thighs. Otherwise, you can reach your arms up. You should feel an opening in the left front thigh in the groin area. If you want to feel a little bit more, then you can go into a slight back bend. But keep the length, so we're not collapsing in the spine. We're finding length, going backwards, and then you feel more opening in the front groin. Don't press down, just let gravity play. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, place both hands down, and make your way back to your downward dog. So think about the many things of the downward dog, the hands, the shoulders out, the spine long. You can walk your dog. You can come also in the full expression of the pose. Don't collapse in between your shoulders. Keep the shoulders wide, the upper back wide. And then lift your left leg up. So as high as you can. We're not staying here for an hour. So find stability here if you can, and then bend your left knee and bring the left foot in between your hands. Right knee down. Come up. So if you don't feel anything into your groin area, bring your hands down, move your right knee a little bit more back. If you feel too much, move your knee a little bit more forward. Inhale, exhale, letting go into the hips. So just let gravity, let the weight of our hips open us up. And then again, if you want to open up here, you can bring your arms up. You can always interlace your hands, bring the index up. Watch out that you don't close your chest. So bring the armpits out, keep the palms together, or you here, or for more stability, keeping the hands onto the thigh. If you want to go into a back bend, have more sensation at the front of your right thigh, go slightly into the back bend, don't collapse into the spine. And then exhale, come down. Tuck your back toe, lift your back knee, and downward facing dog. If you need a break, come into child's pose. So child's pose is knees on the floor, arms to the back. And then now, keep your legs straight if you can. If your spine is rounding, it's okay. Walk your hands back just a little bit. And now see if you can bring your heels down. If not yet, that's okay. So my spine is rounding, but my legs are straight. I'm going to go stretch out my back of the legs. Walk your hands a little bit closer to your feet. My spine is getting rounder and rounder. My heels are maybe touching now. Press your heels down as you walk your hands towards your feet. And maybe as you arrive here at the back of your mat, your arms are not touching the floor anymore. That's okay. Keep your legs straight. Drop your upper body. Release in the hips. Really, it's the hips that's going to hold a lot of tension here. So letting go into the hips, drop your head, maybe even shake it yes, shake it no. Finding space into the neck, thanks to the heaviness of the head. Grab the opposite elbows. Let that give an impression of even more weight pulling you down. And then slowly start to bend the knees. Keep your hands onto your opposite elbows. Bend the knees. Keep your belly onto your thigh now. And I'm going to start to lengthen my spine. My arms are just down. I don't need to do anything with my arms. And I'm sitting in a chair. And then very slowly press into your feet. Work with your legs, not with your lower back. I'm going to press myself up. And as I'm coming up, I'm going to bring my arms still wrapped around over my head and back, tailbone down so that I don't curve in the lower back. Opening up the chest. And then release. Beautiful. So we're gonna do a balance pose, and we'll do today eagle pose. So eagle pose has two facets. We're gonna first focus on the legs so that we can work. So if you know that your balance is not the greatest, you can go closer to a wall or a chair or a table or whatever, or even the ceiling if the ceiling is not high. So first of all, mountain pose, strong body. And then we're gonna bend the knees. So bend the knees slightly, I'll show you from the side. I'm not going like this. I'm keeping my spine aligned. So the feet are close to each other. I'm bending my knees, keeping my hands onto my hips, and I'm gonna lift my right leg and bring it over as if I'm sitting in a chair. So very often what happens here is your hips are gonna turn. So see if you can keep your hips where they were. So you wanna really put the thigh onto the thigh here. So it's not the knees that are crossing, it's higher. If you're flexible in the toes or in your ankle, you can wrap your toes around your calf. So let's start here. Let's see how that goes. If you cannot bring the toes around, press your thighs together. So either way, if your toes are around or not, you want to press your thighs together. You want to press your hips together. You want to have your abdominals quite strong. If this is not accessible, bend your knee a little bit lower and bring your toes slightly touching the floor, but it just do not fall over. So still compressing in the thighs, and then come up and release. Bend your knees again. Don't push your hips back. Stay strong, strong hips, strong legs. Lift your left up and then swing it around. So you want to really swing that left thigh over the right. And then do with your toes, wherever you can reach, press together. If you go a little bit lower, you probably have a little bit more possibility to press. Keep your hands on your hips, because if you don't do that like I'm doing, you're probably gonna fall out. It's not an easy balance. And then slowly coming out. So really. So now we'll do the arms, and then after that, I'll leave you the option to combine both or just do one or the other. So eagle pose is a big opener, again, for the shoulders and the upper back. So especially if we're working a lot like this, you might say, oh, this is all stretched out, overstretched, but it's overstretched with tension. So we're gonna give it some space now. So stand in your Tadasana, feet together or slightly apart. Bring the arms to the side and see if you can stretch from your armpits till the fingertips. So the lower part of your arms is stretching out, which is different than if you stretch from your shoulders to the fingers, you might lift your shoulders. So again, shoulders back, shoulder blades down. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, bring the left arm to the front and slightly further. And then your right arm on top. So my elbows are on top of each other. And then bend your elbows and lift your arms up. So lift your hands up. So can you maybe wrap your hands together? I'll come a bit closer to show you. So my hands are like this. if it's okay for my shoulders. So important is to roll the shoulders back and have the arms here. So the elbows are a little bit below the shoulders. They don't have to go too high because otherwise you won't be able to move them anymore. If this is impossible, keep it here. If this is too painful in your upper back, hug your shoulder blades. So there's no need to go hug your shoulders because that's not opening anything. You really want to create more space, but still rolling the shoulder blades back. So if you don't feel anything here, keep the elbows where they are, but bring the forearms a little bit more to the front. So you should feel a stretch in the upper back. If you don't feel anything, maybe you have a very open upper back. Hopefully your chest is also open and you're balanced. Often when we have a very open upper back, our chest is closed off. And then release and fly. Whew. And then let's bring the arms to the side again. Roll the shoulders back, elbows back. This time, right arm to the front and then a little bit over. And then bring the left elbow on top. So I have an injury on my left shoulder here. So for me, this side, I have to be very mindful what I do. So I'm starting to bring the arms up, the upper arms up, and then interlacing my hands. And this is the max I can go. So I'm not going to do any strange thing of bringing my forearms more to the front or things like that. For the rest, I'm still in mountain pose with the rest of my body. I'm rolling the shoulders back. Elbows are at the height or a little bit lower than the shoulders, but they're not here. 2 more breaths here. And then release. So lots of work on the shoulders. So we're going to do the full eagle pose, and then we'll do some release in the shoulders. So if you want to do just the legs, do just the legs. If you want to do just the arms, do just the arms. If you want to combine, combine. So if you want to combine, I prefer to find my balance first and then add my arms. You can also do both at the same time, but that requires a lot of balance. So I'm going to go into my balance first. So I'm placing my hands on my hips, bending my knees, keeping my spine long, activating the core. I'm going to lift the right and bring it over. And then I want to bring my hips back in position so that my upper body is long. Reaching my arms out. So I'm plané. I'm like a bird that doesn't flap his wings, but then I'm going to bring the right over the left. So my right leg is over my left, my right arm comes above my left, and then go into the full expression of eagle pose. Focus on a point that doesn't move. Activate, compress your thighs together. That's going to make a big difference. Keep on breathing calmly. Let's stay here for 2 more breaths. So 5 in total. And then release everything and fly. Take a breath in, a breath out. And then hands on the hips. If you don't do it simultaneously, bend your knees, lift your left leg up and wrap your thigh around. So again, you can touch your toes on the floor, but don't move your hips to the side. So stay very centered. So, and then reach the arms out, activate your whole core. That's also what's going to keep you up. This time left over right, and then see where you're at. Press your thighs together. See if you can calm your mind. 2 more breaths here. And then release. And this time, move your arms. Maybe roll the shoulders. Be a creative bird. What I like to do is placing my hands onto my shoulders and just moving, but without any effort. I'm just wanna, like, what does feel good for me? I need to open my chest a little bit. I just been more or less closing my chest to be able to open my back. And then bring the arms to the side again. This time bring the palms together, interlace your fingers. So to get the shoulders rolling back and down, bend your elbows, roll the shoulders back, bring the shoulder blades together, tuck your tailbone, lots of things, and then lengthen out the arms. Take a breath in and a breath out. And so keeping that chest open, we're going to separate our legs. So you can go quite wide. My arms are still pulling me down. I'm opening my chest. I'm keeping my neck as neutral as possible. So you can have quite a wide stand, bring the toes slightly in, but bring the weight on the outside of your feet. So don't lift the inside, because otherwise you're going to collapse in your ankles. But there is more support in the outside of your feet. Lift the pubic bone up a little bit, bring the tailbone down, lift your chest, pull your arms down. And then from your hip crease, start to move forward with a straight back. Your back eventually is gonna be concave. So your lower back is gonna curve a little bit. Your upper back is gonna curve a little bit. You're gonna keep your chin, bringing you forward. My hips are pushing back. And then lengthen your arms. My spine is, if possible, due to hamstrings, almost perpendicular with the floor. Inhale, exhale. See if you can go a little bit deeper, but don't drop your shoulders. And then releasing the arms. Bring your arms to the floor. If they don't reach the floor, place them on something higher, or you can also bring your feet a little bit more out, as long as you can hold into your feet. And then let go into your upper body, let go your head. And again, just hang here. And then slowly keep your hands on the floor, bend your knees slightly, and bring the feet a little bit closer. So heel to your feet, but wider than the hips, and then toes are pointing out. Keep your hands on the floor, start to bend your knees. So if your knees are not happy campers, you might just want to sit down on the floor immediately. Otherwise, sit in between, just letting the spine elongate through gravity. You're going to lengthen out your arms, and the palms are facing each other, and then you're going to press your upper arms into your knees. So if you're sitting down, bring the feet closer so that you can really feel that opening in the hips. As you do this, see if you can lengthen the spine and drop the tailbone a little bit more, and then bring the palms together. And as you press your palms together, maybe you find a little bit more space into the hips. You should still be able to breathe. If you don't breathe, it means you go too far. And then slowly bring the hands to the back. So today we're going to do something new. I know in the past people have asked for abdominals. Can you hear me? Can you just show me a thumb? Jocelyne, je te vois. Est-ce que tu m'entends? Okay, thank you, Christopher. I must have pushed a button. Okay, so
plus de son, Valérie.
So I'm gonna go with, you hear me now? Vous m'entendez? Ok, Jocelyne a dit oui. Donc, je vais aller avec le son de mon ordi parce qu'il y a quelque chose avec mon micro. Donc, je vais parler un peu plus fort quand je suis loin. So take whatever you're using around the arch of your feet. Lengthen out the legs. And then pull, so lengthen the arms, hold on to the strap, and lengthen your spine. So we're still coming back to that straight spine. Tailbone slightly down, pubic bone slightly up, lengthen, roll the shoulders back. And now you want to glide your hands a little bit back. I'm going to come and support on my sacrum, so the bony part at the lowest part of your spine. Inhale, roll back and come down. So my legs are gliding a little bit with me. And at a certain moment, my legs are going to lift up. If you roll back, don't worry. It's just for fun. So activate your legs, open your chest. See if you can roll back just a little bit more. And then slowly release. So let's come onto our back. I'll guide you through just to make sure that you can hear me. So come onto your back. And bring the right knee in. So as you bring the right knee in, observe what happens with your tailbone. So you want to keep always the lower back as neutral as possible. Take your breath in and then exhale, bring the right knee in a little bit more. Lift your left leg up just a little bit and move your heel away from you without lifting in the lower back. So it's just a lengthening of the leg. And then exhale, right knee to the chest. Take your right hand on your right knee. Lift yourself up so you can grab your right foot with your left hand and then open up to the side. So you're going to push your right knee to the side and away, but the movement comes from the hip. And you're going to bring the right foot towards your chest. So imagine pigeon pose, but this time on your back. You can hug your right knee with your right arm if you want to and bring it a little bit closer. We need to relax in the hips to open up here. And then release. Lengthen out the right leg. Bring the left knee in. Again, what happens with the combination of tailbone, pubic bone? Lift your right leg up just a little bit, lengthen it out, but from the hip to the heel, not lifting the lower back. Exhale, bring the left knee into the chest. Left hand on your left knee, right hand grabs your left foot. Bring your left knee outside and your left foot towards your chest. So you can start to open up like that. Every exhale going a little bit further. And then slowly release. Both legs are long. Now bend your knees and bring your feet as wide as your mat. And then gently start to move your knees from one side to the other. So to release in the lower back, to release in the hips, in the sacrum. And then coming back to center and one by one, lengthening the leg side to each corner. So left leg goes to left corner, right leg goes to the right corner. Bring your arms alongside your body and gently roll over to the left side. Lift your right shoulder, roll it under and bring your shoulder blade as low as possible. And then roll over to the right, lift your left shoulder up, roll it around and shoulder blade down. And then you're probably a little bit too high. So wiggle yourself out and then bring the arms about 40 degrees out. So find where can my shoulders really find a relaxation pose. And then taking a breath in and exhaling, releasing into the whole body. You can exhale through the mouth a couple of times. It will help to release tension, whether it's built up through our practice or whether it's coming out through our practice. So help your body to release those last points of tension. And sometimes we're very unconscious about the tension in our bodies. So if ever you feel that your body is jittery or, restless, lay down in Shavasana and do a body scan from your toes all the way up to your crown of the head. And wherever you feel that there is tension, stay there for 3 or 4 breaths, exhaling, releasing, and then moving up. Don't question, don't make a whole story about it. Just through the breath, releasing. Release your forehead and your jaw. Feel your eyelids heavy, resting on your eyes. And see if you can even let go of your eyes, almost as if they're looking backwards. Don't put any strain on your eyes, just let them go. Relax your ears. And as every time I invite you to stay here as long as you want, as you can, as you need. If it's time for you to come out, or if Shavasana is just not, how should I say, acceptable for you or feeling as part of a practice, don't fight it for now. But just start to move your body very slowly from your toes, your fingers, your nose. Maybe gently rolling the head from side to side. And then taking a deep breath in, and as you exhale, bring your knees into the chest. Gently roll over to your right side. And slowly coming up into a comfortable seated position. Keeping the eyes closed. Feeling hopefully the lightness in your spine. Gently tuck your chin without dropping your head. Bring the hands in front of your heart in any way that's good for you today. So you can bring your palms on top of your heart, or you can bring your palms together. Any way that works for you. May your thoughts be peaceful, your words kind and respectful, and may your heart always be filled with love. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice, your energy, your time, and I wish you a beautiful day. Namaste. And I apologize for